Thank you very much for inviting me. Extremely happy to be here with you. Firstly, congratulations to the winners and congratulations to everybody who's here, because I think each of us, startup people, including myself, we've had our own journeys behind us, and that is what we are here to share. So I really want a round of applause for everybody who's made it here, because even this is a milestone. When I told my family that I'm going to attend this event of startup entrepreneurs, they started to laugh. Because all my life I've actually run away from being an entrepreneur. I come from a business family. And I've tried to say I'm an artist, I'm never an entrepreneur. But here I am, because I have to say that it is actually the entrepreneur in me who has kept the artist alive. Artists are typically people who, I think, in the language of an entrepreneur, don't make money. So it's very difficult to keep that shelf life going unless you have this other side as well. I discovered that the very hard way. I grew up in a business family where I think on our dining table we heard more about management than anything else. And when you grow up in an atmosphere like that, you don't realize how much you imbibe. Many of these lessons came back to me when I was in really hot water in my career. And that's when I realized I have to stop resisting this side of me. I have to start using the advantage. Like we know, we have to use everything we have in our armory. And that's the only way it can be. When I started off, I was this film student with stars in my eyes who wanted to make this one feature film in Kerala, all nostalgic about my homeland and everything. And that was a nice dream. And I did everything to follow it up with 100% sincerity. My very first film, I remember mounting it. And as someone who had just started, I was, I think, quite ambitious. And I didn't actually think of it in an ambitious way, because I was just really keen to make this movie and I would do anything to make it happen. So with a 20% stake in my own film, I raised money from the government, the central government, and I got a private partner. So there was an equity partnership between the central government, one of the biggest newspaper houses in the country, and my company, appropriately called Little Films. Right through the making of the film, I was just ecstatic because, oh my God, this was a dream come true. Finally, the film was almost done. We were in post-production. And I started to run into trouble with my producers. The very same people who had really been encouraging and were giving me a free hand to do everything suddenly seemed to think differently. They wanted to change some legal terminology. They wanted to change certain agreements. And typically, they assumed I would not resist. They had that wrong. And very soon, the whole film came to a standstill. It became a position where we were exchanging legal notices every day. I was being threatened that my film will sit in the cans. I was being threatened that if I do not comply, then this will be the end of my career. Like so many women who've started and not made it anywhere. Because the minute someone threatens, we have a tendency to really give it our best, isn't it? As women, we have that in us. And I think that is what kicked in. And I did everything I could to buy the whole project back. During that process, there was a lot of negotiation that happened. And someone in a boardroom once asked me, but you have just a 20% stake in it. Why are you so worried? And I said, are you crazy? I have 120% stake in it because it's my movie. It's my product. It's my thought. It's my creation. Which is what I'm sure all of you would be feeling about your baby. That baby that you have put together, that you have dreamt of. Nobody knows how much we dream before we really do something, do they? People never get that we would have been dreaming of this much, much more before we opened that first office or recruited that first employee or got that first little bit of funding. The dreams are much longer than that, but nobody gets that. When that person said that, I said, you know what? I actually own it 120%. So now I think it's time I escort the others out and actually own it. And I literally had to raise the funds, buy the stake back, get the whole movie. Only then could I complete the film. The first film I'm talking about, I don't know if you're familiar with my work, is a film called Manjari. When I was pregnant, the film I wrote is called Ustad Hotel. So these two kind of happened parallelly. I have the baby. Till 3 months, my mom wouldn't let me out of the house, so I stayed at home. On the 91st day, I jumped on a flight to Chennai and went off to finish the post-production on Manjari. Did that. We released on May 18th. I had May 18th of 2012. I had shot this film in 2007. So there was a 4-year gap where I just sat on it. I refused to take any other feature films. Till I bought it back, I even refused to have a baby because I was worried, I'd be too distracted from what my ambition is. And then we released this film. It was wonderfully reviewed. All the critics loved it. Bunch of audience people, put lovely reviews on Facebook. But it was an utter failure at the box office. It broke my heart. It broke everything in me. Because for all those years, the only conviction that stood with me was that my audience will recognize everything I've put in that frame. My audience out there somewhere, they will get it. Doesn't matter if nobody else is getting it. In 2007, this was a film with a Swiss DOP, a Swiss cameraman. This was a film which was sync sound in 2007. A lot of the things we did were way ahead of their time. And I was releasing it in 2012, and it was still way ahead of its time. And then to realize that people are preferring to watch the latest masala flick rather than my film was a body blow. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how my, son, when he grows up, would realize that his mom's first release was a failure. It meant a lot to me. It really, really broke me. But fast forward to 1 month down the line, Ustad Hotel releases. And as you might know, it had a very different reception. It broke all box office records. It made a whole lot of money, a lot of wealth creation there. People were running after us to buy the rights of the movie. And overnight, I became this very successful writer. Okay? The reason I write is actually so that I can direct. So, how about me? And they would say, no, ma'am, we want a film that runs. So just shift this whole thing into your perspective of a startup company where you're trying to sell your wares and people are telling you that we want some part of you, but we don't want the rest of you. It's a very, very personal rejection. And I just wondered, why did Ustad Hotel really rock the box office, and why did Manjari turn out to be such a damn squib? People said it was a good film, it had great technical stuff. Why? Then I got the answer one day when one of my husband's cousins, who's a very avid film goer, she's a wonderful, enterprising young lady with 2 children, she's a banker in Kochi. When the film's released, we would obviously, expect that the family will go see your film. So I didn't hear from her when Manjari released. When Ustad Hotel released, she called me up and she said, oh my God, I love this movie. I've seen it thrice and everything. And as part of the casual conversation, I asked her, did you see Manjari? And she suddenly went silent. Then after a moment, she tells me, Anjali, the thing is, I get 1 day off in my week. And I have a tough week with the kids and the work and everything. And I don't want to go watch a movie which will depress me further. And I don't want to watch something where I have to think so much. I just want to go have a laugh and have a great time. And okay, I would not have reacted very positively at that moment. But no matter where wisdom comes from, we really need to receive it. It's easy for me to say nonsense and walk away, but she was my audience talking to me, or rather my potential audience talking to me, telling me that, hey, you're not giving me what I want. It's as simple as that. What I want is not what you're giving me. So I'm not going to turn up to watch your movie. Doesn't matter who you're related to or anything. It's as simple as that. That's when I figured, okay, if we need to address this, I have to give one shot at making this absolutely commercial film. And that is how Bangalore Days actually happened. If I had not been as heartbroken at my failure, I would have never attempted a film like Bangalore Days. And I am actually thankful for that entire experience because it has opened up avenues for me that I would have never imagined possible. The kind of acceptance that the audience has given. I mean, this year we were celebrating 5 years of Bangalore Days, and for me that's really special that people even want to remember the film. That means a lot to the artist, to the entrepreneur, everybody. But when Bangalore Days happened, again, how do you convince somebody that you want to direct this movie? It is not an easy thing. People have to put money into a film like that. You have to get actors, you have to get everybody. So yes, they all knew I was a great writer. But being the filmmaker there, so I had to reach out to the one person who had faith in me, and that happened to be the guy I wrote Ustad Hotel for. He had enjoyed the benefits of my writing, and he knew what my perspective was as a director. So he was willing. And for him, it was not a thing of, okay, let me help her out. No. He heard a great product, he recognized it, and he said, you know what, I'm producing this. Before anybody takes it, I want it. This will be the first film I produce. That was Mr. Anwar Rashid. And for me, he's one of those people who has been a real game changer for me. He's not my mentor, he's not my father figure, nothing. But we are contemporaries and we have actually backed each other up in our journey. And I think that's one very important thing for us. When I was just walking in, I was just discussing about a certain study that was recently conducted by an HR company based in Delhi called OD Alternatives. They did a very interesting qualitative study on women leadership and what women leaders really seek and what they need to grow. And what their report provides us with are insights that have been taken from 81 women leaders and 21 male leaders across the board, across different industries, predominantly in India, but also with perspectives from 7 different countries. When there's a homemaker who's actually planning her budget for the month, when there's somebody who's providing nutritious meals for her children, there's a lot of thought that goes into it. Essentially, when you're looking at the nutrition of a meal, it's QC. You're looking at the quality of what goes into your children. At the end of the day, when you have to get the kids to eat that meal, it's marketing. And when you have to make it look good, it's packaging. How do you get that brat to eat what's in his lunchbox every day? I mean, I'm still figuring that out. But these skills are actually very precious. We just need to extrapolate that into our professional scenario, I feel. Very often in my work area, I am faced with such weird situations. I mean, film industry is, yes, a weird place, but a very, very fulfilling and rewarding place as well. But so many personal situations and personal equations come up, unlike most other industries. Because I think in a more corporate segment industries, you would have a certain cutoff after your work hours or something. We don't have that. We are people who work like crazy right through days and nights, and everything is driven on passion. Because anyway, nobody's making too much money except the actors. So it is very heavily passion reliant. And in a space like that, what comes up most often are actually issues related to HR. And then the skills I find that equip me much better, thank God I'm a woman. Because, that whole role we play in a family, how we negotiate between people, we get things to happen, we group them together, we make people feel good, we make them feel like they are, going on a journey which is going to be exciting and happy for all. We do this day in, day out, don't we? I mean, we are best trained for it. Who else is? It's like that, I don't remember who it was that said, only a woman? Are you crazy? What more can you ask to be? Because it's true. We create at every single level. And in that matrix that ODA was talking about, the first one was conviction. The second one was connections, which is the network that we make. This network of our loved ones, which include our people who work for us, which include our client, which include our vendors, all of this is one large family at the end of the day, if we choose to make it that. And we have what it takes to make it that. So why not employ the same skills? After connections is a very important part of creation. Creation is where we get to be actually different from everybody who's come before us. I remember being the only woman on set. Sometimes I never quite register it because I don't really think about my gender all the time. So, but invariably other people are. So they will make it a point to point out to you that you're the only woman around. And then you often say so. That same so that Niven Polly said in Bangalore days. But it doesn't stop there. They will try at every moment to take that little pebble and just throw it at you. But if we have the pride to say, yes, you know what, I am a woman and I have what it takes, that is our biggest armor. I have a goddaughter who's a beautiful young girl in University of Michigan right now. When she was younger and in nursery class, she was studying in England. And she was the only brown-skinned child in her class. So one day, she tells me the story that she calls me Anju Mema, and she says, Anju Mema, this girl in my class, when I was changing for ballet, she looked at my skin and she said, yuck. And then I said, what happened then? And she says, I asked her, why did you say yuck? And the girl said, look at the color of your skin. And what did this little one say? She said, yes, I know. I'm special. I'm the color of chocolate. And, that taught me something. That it's not about how the others are looking at us. It's about how we are looking at us. And I think that chocolate attitude of hers has made her who she is today. And I love the chocolate attitude. So if someone is pointing out that you are the first woman or you're the only woman or what makes you think you can do it? Haven't we heard that? Then we turn around and say, you know what? Because I'm a woman, I've done this. I said, because I'm a woman, I can think different from all of you. None of you can think the way I think because I'm special. That's my chocolate attitude. And when we have that and we bring more women into our workspace, I have found this is infectious. Very soon all the women are turning around and displaying their chocolate attitude. Which is actually what we want, isn't it? I mean, when we come to work, I have been in situations where I have young girls with stars in their eyes, they come to work and by 5 o'clock I will get a call. I will get a call from their mother saying, and I have to tell her, I'm sorry, she's a professional, she's working. So do not call me first of all. And secondly, if you want her to succeed, this is not going to help. But how much of our time do we spend dealing with all that? Doesn't it wear you out? Let's be honest. I mean, how many of us have actually said, I love my work, but I'm sick of dealing with all this? How many of us? It's this pressure to just keep going on. Being the perfect wife, the perfect daughter, perfect sister, perfect daughter-in-law, whatever the boss, everything. You compromise, you slip anywhere. Oh my God, see, that's what happens. That's what it is. If it's a woman, it happens. Haven't we all heard that? If you're a woman filmmaker, you'll go make a film about a social cause. If you're a woman entrepreneur, you'll have some kind of a social cause built into your thing. Somebody's doing well in Timbuktu. Lakshmi Menon sitting here is doing, her insurance thing for fishermen. Why? Why do we keep doing this? Why are we so excessively compassionate to everybody but us? This empowering was not actually welcome. But then, when people say, no, you're doing the wrong thing, I think we have to decide which to listen to and which not to listen to. Because that changes the path we are going on. To date, I hand over my script to everybody working on my crew. And I think that has been such an empowering thing for me and for them, because that makes them collaborators. When I say script in your terminology, it would be other things. It would be your plans, it would be your timelines, your schedules, your milestones, it would be different things. But this kind of engagement where my manner of leadership, so to speak, is what you can call a shepherd's leader, because I like to lead from behind. I'd rather empower the people around me and allow them to go ahead and explore the best of what they can do, and stay behind, watch and see what's good and what's not, and then help guide them from behind. You know how this translates on a Malayalam film industry set? It translates into, she doesn't know what she's doing. The whole concept of collaboration doesn't exist. Especially if you're a woman. If it's a man, if it's a guy with a beard and a belly and a hat, they'd be more tolerant. But when a chit of a girl comes and hands everybody the script, they're wondering, poor thing, she doesn't know what to do. And then they decide to come and tell you what to do, which is even more fun. But what I'm trying to say is that through the limited experience I have had, many people have come and tried to tell me that your way is wrong. And I feel really sad for those people, because they've been living in a one-dimensional life. And they're not people who have explored multiple ways of doing things, which is possibly why they're making the same kind of films again and again and again. Your thought is what your product becomes at the end of the day, isn't it? What are our products? They are our energy. They are our thought. If your thought is going to be mundane and boring and unchanging, then God save you. So if we want to keep ourselves dynamic, then I think it's important to invite as many influences as possible, and then, of course, use discretion. I learned so much from the youngest ADs. I remember I sent this guy out to say, hey, there's something on that board, write it down and bring it to me. And he just clicked the photograph and brought it back. And I said, oh, okay, you can do that too. This was about 5 years ago, now everybody's doing it. But see, that's something that I've learned from that kid. If we are open to that, and we also do not feel the need to imitate styles of leadership other people have, then that gives us more confidence. So everybody will tell us about how wrong we are and how right we are. But I really would urge all the young ladies here, look at the ones who are established and who are speaking about their lives. What we would really notice is that they believe in themselves. And isn't that just wonderful to see? Just watching them exude that confidence and tell us that yes, everybody said it wouldn't work, but I did it. That's such a lovely thing, isn't it? I love hearing that line. It's the antidote to all the times we've heard, are you sure? And that look, that look where they're saying, this is not going to work. But they don't say it. And they'll wait for you to make that first mistake so that they can say it. I think, what's beautiful is that when we're all in a room together like this, we all have experiences that we've all gone through. It's sadly the same story in many ways, but beautifully the same story in many ways, because there's so much more for us to do. And when they talk about 13%, coming from my industry, that's a pretty decent percentage. But I think to make it into that optimal 50%, you'd have to grow by, 4 times. But what is this 13%? Are we talking about just individuals? Are we talking about a statistic? But one woman who's a co-founder, so you're in this list and you're not in that list? Is that what we really want? Or do we want to create wealth? Do we want to be judged by the impact of what we're doing? Or do we want to be just another one tally mark in that percentage? I would think we need to generate wealth. I think, and when we speak of wealth, it's not just the financial aspect. It is about the value addition we bring to society. When we see something like the Baiju app, isn't it fantastic that it's performing so beautifully over so many other traditional businesses? Now, that is one person's thought. So that kind of inspiration that we derive, that creates true value. I think we all are here to create true value. When I hear that, a script I've written has gone ahead and broken records, the difference it makes is that, at least in my industry, suddenly people forget about gender. Because money doesn't actually have a gender, as we all know. If you're successful, of course you're successful. It's a great product. No, it's not a great entrepreneur. It's a great product. But if we put our gender on our foreground, I think that is a problem, because then your gender will be in everybody's foreground. I think we need to forget about the gender, gather all of the resources we have in our experience as women, as human beings, as everything we are in life. That's what's helped me, and I think, I'm your regular person. I think, any woman could do that. It's not easy. We don't always live in the most friendly ecosystems. Sometimes it's very, very difficult to swim across the current. There was this writer called Shankar Vedantam, who put across very beautifully in his book Hidden Consciousness about likening bias, particularly gender bias, to ocean currents. And he says that when you're swimming with the current, that is, the bias is in your favor, you think, oh, I'm such a wonderful swimmer. But when you're swimming against the current and the bias is not in your favor, then you realize that, oh my God, the current is so strong. So when you are swimming against the current, even staying in the water is a big fight. So many of us in this room may be just staying in the water. We may not be moving much, but you're here, and that's great. So please, I wish you all the best, and gather those energies and go get there. Really go rock it. I really look forward that many of these gatherings like this will happen more to empower all of us. The energy that we get from an audience like this is actually wonderful. I would not have imagined this happening 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And to see each of you who have achieved something, who are on your way to the stars, is really, really wonderful. Thank you very much, everyone. Pleasure to be here.